I need to start by saying, I've told this story to maybe 5 people in my life, and every single one of them has told me I'm lying. I'm not. I wish I was. When I was 12 years old, my 2 best friends, Hannah and Priya, slept over at my house almost every other weekend. We had a routine. We'd lay our sleeping bags out in a row on the living room floor, leave one string of fairy lights on instead of the lamp, and stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning watching movies on a laptop balanced on a stack of pillows. My parents' room was upstairs, far enough that they never heard us, and the living room had 2 big windows that looked out onto the backyard. Windows I always made sure were locked before we settled in, because my mom was strict about that. That night was no different. We watched something stupid, ate too much candy, and eventually passed out somewhere around 1 a.m. mid-conversation. I remember falling asleep first, actually. Hannah was still talking when my eyes closed. I woke up sometime later needing water. The house was completely silent, the kind of silence that almost has weight to it. I sat up in my sleeping bag and, out of pure habit, because I always did a little head count before getting up, just something kids do, I looked down the row of sleeping bags. There were 4. I want you to understand, there were 3 of us. Me, Hannah, Priya, I counted again. 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th one, pushed slightly back from the others, half in shadow near the wall by the window, with what was unmistakably the shape of someone curled up inside it, facing away from me. My first thought, the calm, rational, half-asleep thought, was that maybe my little brother had snuck downstairs and grabbed a sleeping bag to join us as a joke. He'd done weirder things, so I sat there for a second, annoyed more than scared, waiting for him to give it away, to laugh or move or say something. He didn't move. Nothing moved. And the longer I looked at it, the more wrong it felt. Because my brother's sleeping bag was bright blue with cartoon dinosaurs on it. This one was a dull gray, almost the color of the carpet, like it didn't quite belong in my house at all. I sat frozen for what felt like a full minute, just staring, trying to convince myself I was imagining the shape, that it was a pile of blankets, a trick of the fairy lights. And then it shifted, not dramatically, just a small, slow movement, like someone inside had turned from their side onto their back. I didn't scream. I want to be honest about that, because in the story I tell people now I always say, I screamed immediately, but the truth is, I didn't make a sound for several seconds. I just grabbed Hannah's arm next to me and squeezed it so hard she woke up gasping. That's when I finally found my voice and screamed. And Priya shut up too, and I was pointing at the 4th sleeping bag, shouting that there was someone there. Someone was in the room with us. Hannah turned on the lamp. The 4th sleeping bag was gone. Not folded up. Not pushed aside. Gone, like it had never been there at all. The 3 of us sat in the lamplight, breathing hard, staring at the empty space on the carpet where I swear on everything I had just watched a person breathing. We checked the house. Every window was locked from the inside exactly the way I'd left them. The front door was bolted. My parents were asleep upstairs and never heard a thing. There was no sleeping bag anywhere in the house that matched the gray one I described. We checked the hall closet, the garage, everywhere. Hannah and Priya believed me immediately, which honestly made it worse because it meant I wasn't crazy. We didn't sleep again that night. We sat with every light in the living room on until the sun came up, not talking much, just waiting. I never had another sleepover at that house. We moved 2 years later, and I never told my parents the real reason I stopped wanting friends over. To this day, when Hannah and I talk about it, we're both in our 20s now, neither of us has an explanation. She still remembers the shape of it under the fairy lights. She still remembers it moving. I don't know what was in my living room that night, or where it went, or why it picked us. But sometimes when I'm staying somewhere unfamiliar and it's late and the room is quiet, I still catch myself counting. This is the kind of story that sounds harmless until you actually think about it. And I promise you, the longer you sit with it, the worse it gets. I was 14, at my cousin's house for a sleepover with 5 of us total, me, my cousin, and 3 of her friends from school that I barely knew. It was one of those nights where everyone's hyped up on energy drinks and dares, and someone suggested we play the whisper game. You probably know it. You sit in a circle in the dark. Someone whispers a phrase into the ear of the person next to them. and it gets passed around the circle person to person until it reaches the last one, who says it out loud. Half the fun is watching how scrambled and ridiculous the phrase gets by the time it makes the full loop. We turned off every light. My cousin's room only had one small window, and with the curtains drawn, it was pitch black. The kind of dark where you can't see your own hand unless you hold it right up to your face. We sat cross-legged in a circle on the floor, knees almost touching, and started the game. The first 2 rounds were normal. Someone whispered, "Pineapple pizza is disgusting," and by the end it had turned into, "I am pizza is gusting," which had all of us laughing way too hard. The way you do at 1 a.m. when everything feels funnier than it should. On the 3rd round, my cousin started it. I was sitting 2 people away from her, so by the time it reached me, the boy next to me, her friend from school, I think his name was Caleb, leaned in close and whispered something into my ear. I want to be clear about what I heard, because I've gone over it in my head 100 times since. He whispered, "She's still under the bed from last time." I remember my stomach dropping a little. But I told myself it was just where the phrase had landed by that point in the game. Chains of whispers always end up somewhere weird and unsettling. That's the whole point. So I leaned over and passed it to the girl next to me exactly as I'd heard it, word for word, because I was too unsettled to risk messing it up and making it sound even stranger. It went around 2 more people. By the time it reached the last girl in the circle, my cousin's friend, sitting closest to the door, she went completely still. We all waited, expecting her to laugh and say whatever garbled version had survived the trip around the circle. She didn't say anything for almost 10 full seconds. Someone finally turned a phone flashlight on and her face looked wrong, pale in a way that wasn't just from the harsh light. She said she didn't want to say it out loud. We pushed her, thinking she was just messing with us for effect, building the moment. Eventually, she grabbed someone's phone, opened the Notes app, and typed it instead of speaking it. It said the exact same thing I had heard. Word for word. She's still under the bed from last time. That shouldn't be possible. The entire point of the game is that the phrase changes as it passes through people. That's what makes it funny. A 5-person chain should have produced something nonsensical by the end, not the exact same sentence intact. We made everyone retrace it. Caleb, who'd started it from my end, swore up and down that what he'd originally whispered to me was, "Pass the chips," because he was hungry, and that's genuinely all he could think of at the time. My cousin, who started the whole round from the other direction, said she'd whispered something about a video game she'd been playing, completely unrelated. So somewhere in that circle, in total darkness, 2 completely different phrases had gone in from 2 directions, and somehow met in the middle as the exact same sentence about someone being under a bed from last time, a phrase none of us had ever heard before. That meant nothing to any of us, except it did mean something. Quietly, almost too quiet to hear, the girl who'd typed it out admitted that 2 years earlier, in that exact house, in that exact room before my cousin's family had moved in, a previous tenant's daughter had gone missing for several days before being found under a bed, alive, but never explaining where she'd been or what had happened. None of us had known that before that night. My cousin's parents had never told her. We didn't finish the game. Nobody wanted to play anymore. We dragged our sleeping bags into the kitchen and left every light in the house on until morning, and none of us has played that game since. Not at a sleepover, not as a joke, not ever. I'll warn you now. This is the one that still actually keeps me up at night sometimes. More than any movie or any creepypasta ever has. Because it happened to me in a house I knew well, with people I trusted completely. I was 14, at a sleepover with 4 other people in a friend's house, an older house, the kind with thick walls and weird, narrow hallways that didn't quite make sense architecturally. Her bedroom was on the 2nd floor, and one wall of it backed onto open space above an alley that ran between her house and the neighbors, meaning there was no room on the other side of that wall. Just air, 2 stories up. Late that night, someone brought up the old knock 3 times if you're there game. You knock on a wall 3 times and, as the joke goes, something is supposed to knock back if it's listening. It's a stupid dare, the kind every sleepover eventually lands on once everyone's bored and trying to scare each other. My friend Jess knocked first. 3 slow, deliberate knocks against the wall that backed onto the alley. We all went quiet, half laughing already, fully expecting nothing. 3 knocks answered back. Same rhythm, same spacing. Slow, deliberate. For a second, we all just looked at each other, and then someone said it was probably a pipe, or the house settling, or one of us being a year 8 comedian and knocking on the floor with their foot to mess with everyone. We laughed it off mostly. One of the boys, Theo, said he'd prove it was nothing and knocked again. But instead of 3 knocks, he did 4, fast. The wall knocked back. 4 knocks. Same speed, same exact rhythm as his. The laughing stopped completely after that. The room went quiet in a way that felt different from before. Heavier, like everyone was suddenly aware of how dark it actually was outside that window, how empty the alley actually was below. Jess, trying to act braver than she clearly felt, said it had to be someone messing with us from outside, throwing something at the wall or banging on a drain pipe. So she leaned toward the wall and knocked a pattern with no rhythm at all. Long, short, long, long, short, completely random. The kind of thing nobody could predict or copy on purpose without hearing it first. There was a pause, longer than before. Long enough that a couple of us started breathing out, thinking it was finally over, that whatever coincidence had happened twice wasn't going to happen a third time. Then it came back. The exact same pattern. Long, short, long, long, short. Identical. Nobody in that room could have replicated a random pattern like that from outside through a wall with no way of seeing what Jess had done with her hand. There was no pipe banging, no rational echo that explains matching an unpredictable rhythm perfectly. Twice, on 2 different occasions, from a wall that opened onto nothing but 2 stories of open air. We didn't talk about it logically in the moment. There wasn't room for logic. Someone started crying. Someone else physically dragged their sleeping bag across the room, away from that wall, and the rest of us followed without anyone needing to say why. We turned on every light in the bedroom and then went and turned on the hallway light too, and none of us went anywhere near that side of the room again that night. In the morning, in daylight, we made ourselves check the alley below the window, half convinced we'd find some explanation. A kid, a prankster, a loose drain pipe banging in the wind. There was nothing. No footprints in the dirt below. No pipe along that section of wall at all. Just brick and the 2-story drop to the alley. Jess's family moved out less than a year later. I never asked her directly if anything else happened in that house, because I'm honestly not sure I want to know the answer. But I think about that wall sometimes, about how something out there, in open air where nothing should have been able to hear us, matched a random, unrepeatable pattern perfectly, twice. I don't knock on walls as a joke anymore. None of us do.